SoaR still searching for their first win of the season. Let's head to game number 2 and see if they can find it there.
It was a good job by Luminosity setting up SoaR for the early momentum advantage over Benji on that SoaR. They invaded his blue once in the early game, and then with that 1 level advantage, slowly but surely, the Hercules started to outtrade the SoaR, helped him out by finishing off that shield of regrowth, making those rotations a lot quicker than the SoaR was so impactful.
Circuit and Red Tasker also banned out by SoaR Gaming this time around. Thoth and Sylvanas will be taken off the table by LG. SoaR have the first pick this time, and they will opt to go with the Zeus in the mid lane one more time.
Baskin did a decent job on the Zeus the last game around. It was more of the Batz show for Mask, so that's what also the Hercules for SoaR. So he didn't truly shine on the Zeus, but Zeus is always that threat in the jungle. The ultimate alone deters a team from encountering you.
So SoaR take the Zeus away from LG this game. Hercules and Batz, those are the two guys that ran game 1.
Very early Hercules pick. I wouldn't be surprised though if SoaR looked for some options to be able to shut him down, Odin specifically.
Well, right here, it has to come here in these next 2 picks. Awilix will be one. That's kind of telling me that we're going to see the Awilix-Odin combo.
It's not a bad idea because obviously Batz is going to be trying to engage with something, whether it's going to be the blink, the monkey bounce, or the jump. If he's going to engage with 2 out of the 3, you're waiting to find the pull on his leap out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really thought we were going to see the Awilix into the Odin. I think that would have been... You generally want to pick Awilix next to the Odin so that the opponent can't counter the Odin initiation. And of course, the Odin going to work well against the Hercules. Honestly, work well against this whole draft. Luminosity should really be looking to ban out the Odin. Even Odin's not a good character in and of himself, but he just shuts down Herc so hard that he might be the option for SoaR.
Luminosity picking Poseidon for Baskin this time around, and I like the idea here because the Batz Poseidon ultimate combination could be used early game against the Geb for Jigz, trying to find, because normally you don't pick up purification beads on a support, so he could be in a position where he could get the focus of the Krakens.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, we will see the support make the adjustments. We've seen that a number of times, looking specifically towards the meta a couple of maybe last year where Team Eager forced opponents to buy beads on their support because Awilix just kept focusing you down. It was a really problematic moment in the meta, and that's why players shifted. Apollo for Vetium, Tyr for the solo lane. This is one of the better gods that Benji has at his disposal. I think this will be a much better look than the SoaR was last game.
Guardians get taken advantage of too much in the early game. The warrior Tyr is going to be having a better chance at surviving against the early game Hercules, but very defensive minded here for JeffHindla yet again, going from the Geb the last game to the Khepri this time around.
Looking to save some of his aggressive players. If Batz and Hercules are going to go that deep, Jeff's going to be standing to the sideline just tossing out the damage reduction bubbles and then trying to save the player from a distance. Certainly want to look for that. SoaR Gaming still on their look for their first win of the season. Homiefe again on another powerful character that he's known for. The Awilix, we'll see if it works out.
The Awilix is a god that kind of needs that early game momentum spike to be able to make a huge impact. And normally you don't see defensive Awilixes here, but this wouldn't be a bad idea for him considering the fact that Mask is on this Batz. The counter engage is usually stronger than the engage anyway. As long as the initial target of Luminosity survives for a little bit, Homiefe can turn that on its head.
And don't forget, you've got knock-up assistance over there, solo support, and even the Hunter roll. So you're going to have help out for the Awilix ultimate for pretty much any target if they have a jump or not. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. BaRRaCCuDDa's here in the mid lane. That's going to surprise some players.
So I've never seen this kind of a strategy where the Hunter makes his very early presence known. Still about 15 seconds.
What's the goal here?
It could be 15 seconds remaining to go back to the left-hand side. See, BaRRaCCuDDa, he doesn't want to go to the lane. He's just going to be able to grab his own red and purple babies. He's applying pressure onto SoaR to give Baskin and JeffHindla a spot where they can clear the way first.
And yeah, so BaRRaCCuDDa's going to do the same start that we saw earlier, and it will be mirrored by Vetium on the other side. Again, just covering this. So basically what happens is jungle presence or the lane presence and pressure is pushed up in the lane. If you're able to clear out first, you go to the enemy jungle and steal away their little baby camp next to the buff. You don't get the buff, but you get enough experience to hit level 2, and that's really what the players are looking for.
4 on 4 here by both teams, finding a pull onto Benji, doing a little bit of poker. They really want to get this Fire Giant Elemental, and it's look like it's going to go in the favor of SoaR.
Yep, SoaR pick it up. You see the experience go ahead and ding, and level 2. is found for both hunters because of their start, but the guys on the side of SoaR, the jungle and solo lane, are able to hit 2 earlier than LG. This seems like a lot of... So this is the most meticulous I think we've really seen Smite be in its entirety throughout its existence. It's very important to find these early levels and then look for the fight off of the spike.
Andinster did a good job with that chain lightning. I think he did grab one of those, but either way, BaRRaCCuDDa hitting level 3 in the hunter position. Both of these hunters elected to go for the same start, where they grab the purple and the red babies before they head into the lane, but it's a different start itemization-wise, whereas we see BaRRaCCuDDa trying to rush for that Transcendent start with the ability-based Medusa, whereas Apollo and his Audacity stacks for Vetium is going to be rushing for that Devil Gloves, wanting to win the trades.
This is the way to go, I think, for both of these characters. Medusa's going to be swinging with those abilities, like you said, the Acid Spray, and then, of course, the ultimate. Petrify has been so impactful today, not just for one player or one team specifically. Big impact. I think the biggest one probably from PandaCat, who, quite frankly, literally won a game with the single ultimate. But when it comes down to it, you want to have that big power bank for those abilities. Whereas Vetium, he's just going to be powered away, so the basic attacks certainly work out.
Even if you only hit the Medusa ult from behind, that 50% damage is going to be very impactful once that Transcendence does get complete. And that's an ability that is just so obnoxious. You might even be put in a spot where you have to use beads just for the slow off of that Medusa ultimate. So yet again, BaRRaCCuDDa doing a good job though, recognizing the fact that Vetium is not in lane. He's just going to hold that way for a little longer, as some of his minions is going to be able to deny him that precious early gold and experience.
Yeah, we've seen hunters, and what's the difference here in Season 4 as SoaR pick up the Fire Elemental? I have always liked the idea of freezing the wave, but players rarely did it. Now in Season 4, we see it all the time. ScaryD in trouble. Could be first blood. Fearless power cleave. Benji gets his revenge, and ScaryD falls down nice and early at 3 minutes for SoaR to find their first blood.
Nice rotation from Homiefe. Despite not being level 5 for that attack speed steroid, doesn't matter. The Feather Step keeping the Hercules in place, as well as the Driving Strike being on cooldown. So Benji on this tier, now finishing off the Warrior Tabby on both sides, and that's going to be really impactful because tiers max out the power cleave first, so they're going to be able to out-sustain the Hercules that's maxing out the Driving Strike instead.
So I go back to my question. Why are we seeing more players zone each other out, specifically in the hunter role?
Normally in the last time around in Season 3 and earlier, you want to clear the wave as early as possible and then back for the power spike plays. But the game has slowed down so much in Season 4 in some factors where it's better off to just wait anyway, especially for BaRRaCCuDDa, who has a big gold spike that he needs to wait for before finishing off that Transcendence. So he's in no hurry to be able to clear the wave and get back to base, whereas Vetium finishing off the Devil Gloves is going to be a lot faster for him than BaRRaCCuDDa finishing off that Transcendence.
Yeah, just about 14 or 1450 wanted to finish off the Devo Gloves there. Whereas for Transcendence, it's going to be the same amount once you reach level 2. So a much more expensive item here for the Medusa player. There goes the gloves. They'll be starting to be stacked by Vetium. And then, as I said, we'll have to wait a little bit longer for Medusa to find the same situation.
Sometimes some players will elect to also rush to Transcendence right off the bat, skipping that starter item, but having that extra damage over time is going to be very crucial to finding some early picks, especially onto Jigz on this Geb, who did go for the Traveler Shoes, not going to be electing to go for that Reinforced Greaves.
Another note, talking about the change of meta here is the fact that you can go Bluestone Transcendence 1. Once upon a time, this was called an incredibly greedy approach because of how much gold it required, and I mean, honestly, you were almost out of the laning phase once upon a time at that point. So now the game has changed, like you said, slowed down a drastic amount. You can afford to just sit in lane and farm up those stacks, farm up the gold, and then be able to purchase the Transcendence.
We see Benji with a 400 gold lead over ScaryD, also having spent that Mana Chalice though, so that's actually a 300 gold difference. Technically, he's only up 100 gold with that consumable being purchased, so ScaryD won't actually be too far behind itemization-wise. Nice little steal by Vetium, preventing the vision.
Yeah, it's going to split things down. If you can't tell, there's no color on the beam. It's just that gold. If there's a red beam, blue beam, it obviously dictates the teams. JeffHindla's gone, saved by himself, but he'll walk right into the thunderstorm. Kill him 2 times, and Homiefe winds up with the kill. previously had the assist from the first blood, so 100% kill participation so far for Homiefe.
During that death, Mark of the Vanguard was not purchased. Now picking it up is JeffHindla. The ultimate could not keep him up. Neither was the meditation. After the revival, the ultimate from andinster did secure it. But that was 3 ultimates used just to be able to pick off JeffHindla. This gives about a 1-minute window potentially for Luminosity to maybe get another team fight in.
Yeah, certainly need to find something. Looking for the Gold Fury here on the left side of the map. Homiefe and Vetium looking to pincer BaRRaCCuDDa here. Keep in mind with that big dash, there's a dash forward, forcing out the ultimate. Barra can't figure out who to choose, and he doesn't hit anybody. Did he hit Vetium?
No, it looks like he hit him, but he did turn around, so he didn't get the full damage of it. And a nice little feather step from Homiefe prevents the damage due to the immunity frames.
Yeah, I know he didn't hit Homiefe. I wasn't sure if he hit Vetium.
But either way, that whole ultimate by BaRRaCCuDDa was designed to prevent the root from the feather step initially to allow him to dash away. So smart little tactical ploy by BaRRaCCuDDa, keeping himself alive, just trading out his ultimate, still keeping his purification beads up.
Yeah, that one looked like it was destined to be a kill for SoaR. Just very crafty play coming out from the hunter on the side of LG.
Homiefe kind of pulled his trigger finger a little bit too early, throwing out his Suku before the dash actually happened from BaRRaCCuDDa, trying to get the initial knockup for the more burst damage.
Yeah.
So that was another factor to allow BaRRaCCuDDa into safety. But now finished off with that Transcendence with the boots too. We're going to see BaRRaCCuDDa trying to get those stacks, increase his mana pool a little bit further, and to be more annoying against Vetium, just to spam some more abilities.
Yeah, just looking for more potency when it comes to the lane and able to clear the wave and hopefully clear some of the HP off of the opposition, at least if you're an LG fan. Rotating to the left side of the jungle as Oracle's coming up relatively soon. Gold Fury's still alive for the moment. It's going to be Luminosity and the rest of SoaR. Everybody pretty much just rotating the left side except for LG. It's going to be Scary D with the counterattack as Mask shows up here on Benji. But it's more about the farm than it is about the aggression.
I like the fact that the Mask is holding on to his ultimate against this level 10 tier that does have silver breastplate available. It's a decent amount of physical defense to keep himself alive. And with the very short cooldown, 8 seconds on the power cleave, he's going to be able to sustain a lot. So you better kill him before 8 seconds.
Homiefe here jumping in the mid lane. Following Mask essentially. Just keeping tabs on where the enemy jungler is. Wants to make sure to mirror his movements. Good vision being dropped by LG. Jigz trying to protect those oracles, and down they go. They're all SoaRs, and the vision on the Gold Fury will belong to SoaR Gaming.
That's what you need to do to be able to secure any objective. Normally, that's a position that you'll see during Gold Fury being started. You'll have the support or the solo laner overextend a little bit, but they're not actually trying to engage your fighter. They're just going to throw out some abilities to stop you from entering that little Gold Fury area so that the rest of your team can secure those objectives. So, going to have about 90 seconds of vision on the side of SoaR at that Gold Fury.
Continuing here, Andy on the mid lane. What's your take here? How do you think Andy's been performing here?
At this point, he's been doing a good job just surviving this game, so making sure that he follows up off of his teammates whenever necessary. But the last game, he struggled quite heavily. He rushed into that Doom Orb right off the bat. He didn't have the physical defense when it mattered the most. The early aggression from Mask really paid off, and it seemed that andinster didn't really pull the trigger during his circle of protections whenever he really needed to. He didn't respect the damage out of Mask.
Just really waiting and using it more for the protections than anything else?
He just didn't really calculate the damage coming out of Mask more than anything else, or he didn't value the healing potential out of the Isis ultimate. Maybe he wanted to save it for the Gold Fury instead of using it during a little skirmish, but whenever a Batz just dives you 1v3, there has to be some sort of counterplay, and andinster, that last game, didn't really have it there. Second game, though, here on the Zeus, already with 1 assist to his belt, he made the transition by going into the Dynasty Plate Hamlet this time around, respecting the potential damage out of this Batz.
Yeah, I mean, Mask had a fantastic game number 1, and right away he's going to go into that hi-rez to keep up that damage as well. So we'll see if Mask can reprise his previous performance on the Batz.
Chalice of Vision here, coming out of both supports, trying to control the most important Gold Fury side of things. Andinster did get hit by the monkey bounce, but Mask didn't want to jump in there. The level 10 Zeus will do a lot of damage here with Shoes of the Magus finish with Dynasty Plate Helmet. That's a decent amount of penetration.
So when do these players really make it look for the next large objective?
Somebody's going to have to be caught out of position, so there's going to have to be a lot of vision from both teams. The Oracle vision is going to be put into place, but this is the play that you're talking about here. Normally, a lot of teams will now look for this kind of aggressive play in the Portal Demon since it's not as much gold on the side compared to Gold Fury, but the fact that the Portal Demon was taken now, the sound goes off, Luminosity are alerted about it, and they're probably going to be heading towards gold. Or not.
It doesn't look like it.
I thought the fact that they saw Jigz took that much damage in the mid lane that they could maybe force the Gold Fury, especially considering the fact that BaRRaCCuDDa pushed out the dual lane, and that could have been a 4-man collapse onto that Gold Fury, but instead Red Buff has respawned, BaRRaCCuDDa electing to go for that one instead.
When it comes down to it, you still have Vetium over there lurking in the jungle. Ren stole a Gold Fury with a So Beautiful once. Could be done again.
Jermaine stole it with a Rama in hand. And then VEL'd all over the place.
That sounds like Jermaine. Luminosity wrapping around here. Oracles have spawned. Vetium the first one to really look at them. Luminosity are probably down to fight over this vision, but it goes to SoaR pretty much without a hitch.
The monkey bounces from Mask did connect onto Vetium. He could have potentially looked to take that teleport, look for the Fear No Evil, force the Purification beats to get out, but the problem is if he goes in with the monkey bounces here, he's going to have to jump out, and Homiefe is going to be waiting for him to jump out with that ultimate.
Yeah, so just a little, not the right way to look at it here, unfortunately. Early on in this game, though, 12 minutes on the clock, 2 kills, and all of them SoaR's. Much better look in game number 2 than in game number 1 or some of their earlier performances. Already off to a decent lead, 1,400.
And this is what SoaR is going to need to do if they want to find their first win in the SPL Spring Split thus far. They're 0-3 currently. They have to make sure that they play very slow and calculated. If they have this little bit of a lead here, 1,300 gold, 800, 1,000 experience now at this point, they need to be able to make sure they give nothing back to Luminosity.
That's really the key, is just making sure you're able to hold on and maintain the lead that you've been able to get, that you've been able to really obtain, and that's 100% the look that SoaR need to get is just sticking their foot where it belongs.
Just like that, SoaR slow and steady, controlling vision around the Gold Fury. They sentry ward the left side mid Harpy on not only their side, but the opponent's side as well, so it makes it more annoying for them, for Luminosity rather, having to invest even more gold with them being that far behind. Even a second sentry to counter the counter to the counter. There's like 3 or 4 counters there, I don't even know, I lost track.
Just, we're too deep here.
We got to go deeper, Tom.
Gold Fury right now already being looked at by Vetium, but the entirety of Luminosity is there to pick it up instead of Vetium by himself. The whole of LG will look towards the objective, leashing it one more time.
And that's going to give a favorable advantage to SoaR on the side of Vetium because the fact that he went for the Devil Gloves, he's going to be able to tank the Gold Fury longer than if BaRRaCCuDDa wanted to going for this Aussie.
Absolutely. The lifesteal coming out from those gloves, just a little bit too strong. In juxtaposition to cross away the Aussie, certainly can't hold a candle to it.
However, if you do have the proc to the Aussie passive, you're going to get additional lifesteal, so that's very important to maintain yourself topped off in certain aspects of a team fight, or even the Gold Fury wrapped around underneath, though. BaRRaCCuDDa, he's looking for a flank.
I don't think he might find
he's
it, but
looking for it. He wants to petrify everybody from behind.
And here he comes. There it is. The shot's going to grab 2. Homiefe in trouble. Fear No Evil controls him, but he's able to jump over the wall. Mask follows up and finds the hit. Vetium in trouble. BaRRaCCuDDa finding him, and there's Jigz trying to hit the follow-up, saving his hunter. But just for the moment, Barra finds the basic. Flip, and that's it. Jigz trying to find some knock-up protection, but Jeff finds the abduct, and Scary D able to take him out. It's 3 for just 1. Baskin trades his life for a couple of other players. Benji from nowhere picks up Mask, looking for the cleanup on Barra,
the juke.
But he misses the
juke was so good from BaRRaCCuDDa. He faked right, goes back left. Benji took the bait. 3 for 2 at the end of the day. BaRRaCCuDDa trying to lifesteal a little bit off those oracles. Benji, he doesn't have the Lawbringer or Blink, as he did go for that Thorns play, which also deters BaRRaCCuDDa from even looking for any additional in-hands.
What's the deal with the Thorns?
It's all about being annoying towards hunters. It did get a little bit of a buff. I think it went from 40% to 50% incoming damage return. So we've seen that a little bit more often. And these hunters that have been left alone a lot in the laning phase, because they actually match the level of the soul laner, you have to be looking for ideas of how to shut them down. And Thorns is one of the tools to be able to do so.
Yeah, you're just able to really control some of the damage output at the very least. Are we seeing an influx in other items that do similar things, like Hotter Than Naming Line?
Yes, if any hunter will elect to go for early crit, such as Poison Star Wind Demon combination, it's not a bad idea to go for that Thorns Height of Nemean line. Let them try to crit you. They're gonna not have that lifesteal as a result, and that's gonna allow you to just stick to them.
Sticking to the Gold Fury is gonna be Luminosity. Here comes the ultimates, and that is a free objective. That'll tie the game right there. Luminosity 4-3, trailing by 1 kill. However, the gold all even. Look at the graph. That's a beautiful sight. Anytime you see yourself losing by a little bit, or even a lot of bit, and one single play can just neutralize the lead that the enemy has over you, bam, drops down, and is able to go ahead and pick up the Gold Fury.
Vetium trying to get something here. JeffHindla's going to get pulled back in. Homiefe doing a decent amount of damage. Mask in the backline, though, with the Fear No Evil. Vetium getting blown up.
Baskin able to pick up one. BaRRaCCuDDa able to pick up one as well. There's help from the Hercules. Benji controlled and Andy in trouble. BaRRaCCuDDa's going to be saved by the revive out of Khepri. Homiefe dealing a ton of damage.
He used the monkey bounce on the Fire Giant. And look at that. Scaredy was in the backline the whole time, taking out andinster. Benji has to retreat as well. 3 members dead on the side of SoaR. Benji, he's going back in!
And he's going to look for it. Benji gets kicked. Very low target. Certainly very tasty for a tier player like Benji. Can't be able to find it.
I thought for a moment, Mask, he threw out the monkey, the Furious Monkey, on the Fire Giant. It also clipped out Homiefe, and I thought he was going to take it just to be able to teleport to that Awilix, but jumping over that speed buff, trying to save out andinster, wasn't quite there in time for Homiefe. Too much was invested in the beginning of that fight onto JeffHindla.
Yeah, just far too much. A little bit early lead here, or excuse me, a little bit of a lead here for Luminosity. Not quite early as we're approaching our 18th minute of the game. Game number 2.
Considering the fact that 1,000 gold was in the lead for SoaR, now they're dropping the ball. Looks like Luminosity picked it up by 2,000 after the result of that last teamfight victory, and the Gold Fury picking off 3 members here. Vetium finding all 4 members, or I'm sorry, the Hunbats finding all 4 members with a monkey bounce, but not wanting to commit.
There's the blink forward, but nothing coming of it. Homiefe drops the ult, and here's the response. Kraken shows up. Vetium's going to sanctuary it, so no damage.
I think Homiefe wanted to blink, use his 3, finding the knockup, and then use the ultimate, but he looks like he fatty fingered, diving the backline is Jigz, though.
Can't find it. BaRRaCCuDDa finds Vetium. However, there's the kick into Andy, and the ultimate secures it next to BaRRaCCuDDa. Double kill for the Hunter. There's another kill for BaRRaCCuDDa. That's 3 in total as Jigz falls down. Looking for more. Scaredy controlling the one player on the left side. It's Homiefe.
Just gonna chase him down with a shield of regrowth, giving them so much movement speed. He's gonna he's not gonna find the pole. Even if he did, though, more than likely would have clipped that wall around the corner. Another 3 kills quickly by Luminosity, taking advantage of it, grabbing the tier 1 mid tower. Looks like they're gonna start positioning themselves around the right-hand side, stripping away that speed buff.
Yeah, it's trips for the jungler, trips for the Hunter right there, excuse me. And he's able to go ahead and clean up a little bit of help in the mid lane. And then this right here, this is an aspect of the slower paced game. You're going to strip all of the enemy's jungle, or at least the relevant experience, to keep the distance large between you and them.
Also taking away these buffs, you're negating the effect as well. 10% cooldown reduction still at 19 minutes is a good amount by having that blue buff, not to mention the speed buff as well.
I mean, that's half a shield of regrowth.
Pretty much.
Half a shield of regrowth.
We should just relate every percent of cooldown reduction in correlation to shield of regrowth.
I mean, that's how I already live my life. I mean, when I play casually, not that it has any impact into pro league games whatsoever, but I like to play jungle, and almost every jungle buys the shield of regrowth. It's just, I think BaRRaCCuDDa summed up my feelings very, very cleanly earlier. He doesn't tweet much, but BaRRaCCuDDa, the jungler for enemy, he just said along the change, why did it get 10 more CDR? It was a popular item last season, and it got buffed here. It is seeing some changes for the next patch, though, so it will be a little bit more balanced out. But for the moment, it's still the zoom, zoom, race car, boom, boom.
20 minutes into the game, Luminosity about 2,500 gold in the lead. BaRRaCCuDDa still doing a good job zoning. He has this 3-level lead. He has Fatalis. He also has the speed buff, and the rest of his teammates, or rather just Mask, coming around the corner. He blinked into the tier 1 tower.
And he's going to find Vetium. Homiefe here to help out. Grabs the jungler right underneath the tower. Featherstep confirms it. Looking for number 2. Can't find it. Next to JeffHindla. Homiefe backs off. Mask trades his life out for the Hunter. How do you feel about that trade?
Not in position was JeffHindla, unfortunately, to find the revive. And that's the one problem with Batz against the Awilix. He had to invest the blink to dive into that tier 1 tower. And he was taking too much tower shots, so he got low enough. So he was too afraid to stay into the tower radius. He had to jump away, but Homiefe made the great counter rotation. That's what you have to do.
Ooh. SoaR looking for the flip. Not going to find it this time around. So just barely letting Andy walk away from that one. Still leading by about 2,000. Nothing too large out of Totally. But what do you do with it? So if you ask me, what do you do with a 5,000 gold lead? I'd say you test the Gold Fury and you see where the fight goes. You tell me, what do you do with a 10,000 gold lead? I say you barrel down a lane and steal somebody's Phoenix. Totally, what do you do with a 2,300 gold lead?
You ward.
Just casually. Just trying to ward a little bit.
Ward a little bit, basically.
Map presence is what you're after.
You're waiting for a power spike item, a very important power spike item between any of your gods. And at this point, JeffHindla does have Stone of Gaia. And with the new change to Stone of Gaia, preventing you from getting grabbed, pulled, pushed, and knocked around a little bit, he's going to be negating the Fearless as well as maybe even the Awilix pull.
That's a fantastic, that's what that's for. It's really to get rid of that nonsense. Luminosity.
Sneaky deaky.
That cannot afford to happen right there. That 2,500 gold lead is not enough to power through that Gold Fury. Now the 4,000 gold lead, this is really where Luminosity can really make a stance and just take a fight straight up. That SoaR, Totally, I don't think that could happen. That really just can't happen.
You definitely need to be able to contest it, but you also have a little bit of an advantage with that Kraken being down because the Portal Demon is going to be started by SoaR. They recognize that's a huge cooldown for Baskin, not available. Now we see Benji and Jigz diving that backline. Portal Demon taken by SoaR.
That's a good look for SoaR right here. Going to even things up just a little bit. Lead cut short. There's a fantastic response coming out from Jigz, trying to find the confirmation on a Baskin off of what the solo lane tier did, but can't find it, unfortunately.
Looks like Baskin even picked up that combat blink ritual, being able to disengage from Benji into that mid lane, and he's going to be able to get back in a comfortable position. A lot of ultimates were burned there by SoaR, trying to get something going here, and that's going to give enough time for Baskin to regroup with his team with that ultimate that's about to come up.
So we talked a little bit about andinster and his mid lane prowess. Here in week number 2, Baskin also making the shift over. How do you feel about Baskin here in the mid lane?
He's been performing pretty well here. He's just a typical standard mid laner that is going for a more traditional build here, but hold that thought. SoaRD in a 1v4 spot, gonna get pulled in by Awilix. Feather stepped around, trying to buy time. He's walking away from danger.
And he's safe. He's out of there. There's the help from the support player. He's able to zoom out thanks to the shield of regrowth and the heals coming out. Pops the thorns to punish the opposition and make them pause. JeffHindla shows up with the ultimate, and then there's the turnaround. SoaRD looking for damage of his own, tosses his own ult towards Benji, and Jigz is gonna be chased as well by Mask. But as soon as the shield comes down from Andy, that's going to cause the retreat of Luminosity. SoaRD just survived a 1-on-4 onslaught.
He took so much damage just now finishing off that Bulwark of Hope. That was without fully finished Bulwark of Hope, and he survived that. Now, granted, he did have JeffHindla's ultimate at the very tail end of that, but wow. Shield of Regal playing a huge part, being able to get a little bit quicker away from the action once he popped that healed. Basically cut the gap between JeffHindla and SoaRD to allow that ultimate revival.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite items. I do think it is a little powerful, which is why it is getting adjusted next time around. So we will definitely see. I think it's still going to be a popular, potent item.
Oh, absolutely. And because of the fact that even though SoaRD took a lot of damage there, all the abilities were down from SoaR. So Luminosity wanted to continue chasing those kills. But andinster. All it took was 2 abilities to deter all 5 members from Luminosity. You pop the shield, you pop the chain lightning off of the shield, and with the combination of the Gem of Isolation, everybody from Luminosity is going to get so slowed that you cannot continue to chase.
Yeah, the Gem of Isolation, very interesting choice here from andinster in the mid lane. I like it. It's not very frequently picked up on the Zeus, but anybody that's caught that thunderstorm is really going to get stuck.
It's a utility-based item mostly for mages. It helps out Poseidon a little bit more because you're trying to get them closer to that vortex of the whirlpool, but on the side of Zeus here, you're trying to keep people closer inside your ultimate. Benji, though, on the top-hand side, he could get collapsed on yet again.
And that might be the case. Here he is. Ultimate's going to separate ScaryD from the solo lane. In the sky, though, it's Apollo. He's going to land down, searching for a spot to land. There's Jigz just getting controlled and rolled, flipped back, and he's just gone. Number 11, as ScaryD continues 3-1 and 5 on the Herc.
Look at ScaryD, he's trying to push andinster away from the tower, the root, and the abduct, the boulder, finding the Zeus. ScaryD is not done yet. He's going to continue to dive. He's going to find the pull, forcing the beads out of Vetium, the mesmerize, but he's going to get interrupted during the dash. That's going to be the 3rd member dead here on the side of SoaR.
Just control. That is what this Luminosity team has done. It has just controlled the situation, it's controlled the players, it's controlled the team fights, and it's controlled the map. You see the chalice of the Oracle coming out from both of the supports. JeffHindla has lit up this right side of the map like a Christmas tree. SoaR has a little bit of vision right there, and LG, they just don't mind. They don't care, because everybody's dead and they can't respond to the Fire Giant anyway.
Jigz tried to save Benji there. He was getting collapsed on earlier on, so what Jigz did is he blinked, used his Cataclysm, trying to save his solo lane tier player, but without that ultimate cooldown, and then blinking himself closer to that tier 1 tower, he was just getting knocked around all over the place. And Homiefe, he tried to find a mask. He's going to try to find a kill to Homie.
And that's a little bit of help coming out from the Awilix, and Homiefe just going to fall down. BaRRaCCuDDa able to go ahead and...
Had BaRRaCCuDDa not been there, that would have been an easy one-on-one play for Homiefe. He had a whole wave to his advantage. He can duck, weave behind his own minions, preventing a lot of those in-hands. But overall, great rotation from BaRRaCCuDDa. And that's what you have to do. You always have to turn a one-on-one into a two-on-one in your team's favor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there is no respect for the 1v1 in professional play. I don't care what game you're playing, whether it's this game or a different game. I don't care what game you're playing. I couldn't really think of one at the moment. I said before when I was commentating with Hindu Man, a little loopy today. Not my finest day, but we push on. SoaR still looking for a win here. Luminosity making it very tough. Over double of SoaR's kills. It's 6-14 here, folks. 7,100. And the guys from LG have a commanding lead. Totally looking at this LG team here in Season 4, already, just right now, yes or no? Or actually, it's not a yes or no question. Are they better than last year? How do you feel?
I'd say at this point, yes. Luminosity are a lot superior than their last year's performance. Now, granted, they made... hold that thought, though. Diving the backline is Jigz, trying to save this tier 2 tower, but with the Fire Giant sustain, Benji diving as well.
Homiefe from around the side, looking for the knock up through the wall. Can't find it with the jump already down for the monkey. Might be an issue. Here comes Andy pushing forward, controlled by the monkey. BaRRaCCuDDa picks up one, and ScaryD from the backline. There's the double kill for the Hunter. One goes to Baskin as well, and that's just a wreck for SoaR Gaming. 40 seconds on these players. ScaryD finds the lift, pushes forward Vetium, uses beads, chased out. There's the shot, the delayed kill from BaRRaCCuDDa. 4 players out for 30 seconds. That's game.
That could be game. It's only Benji against all 5 members with Fire Giant. Now, granted, there's 2 tier 2 towers. That's going to make this Titan a little stronger.
There's 20
That's a frenzy ritual, though. That's game.
Yeah, 20 seconds left on the respawn. If respawns were cooldown reduction, we'd have 4 Shield of Regrowths in the base. That one's going to go the way of Luminosity, so we're still trying to find their first win.
Well, you asked me Luminosity if they're better than the last year's Luminosity. I have to give you a yes, but I'm curious what someone else might have to say.
Luminosity certainly looking like one of the top dogs. They're going to be right up there with some of the other teams. However, SoaR still trying to find a win. This team looks so good on paper. Taco, what's up?
They do look very good on paper, Tom, but unfortunately for the side of SoaR, 5 mechanically strong players still need to take time to find their synergy, which is something that Luminosity most certainly does have. And it came out very well in game number 1 especially, where you could see each of the team members going ahead and knowing that they could all rely on each other. The synergy coming out on the side of Luminosity just overall really helps them when it comes to these team fight scenarios, and especially coming out on the back of ScaryD in game number 1 on this Hercules solo. Hercules was just an absolute nuisance for the team of SoaR Gaming, considering that ScaryD was not giving the team any breathing room whatsoever. He was consistently causing setups for Luminosity, allowing his team to get in and get out, as well as going ahead and causing so much CC control inside these jungle territory fights that it was just almost impossible for SoaR to really find any sort of retaliation. And it's really crucial when you have your solo laner just going ahead and controlling the map as much as ScaryD was doing consistently throughout this game number 1. Overall, he just had a really strong performance coming out on this Hercules, and you could tell that his confidence has only kept continuing to rise up throughout the season and throughout his time with the side of Luminosity Gaming. And it really shines when you're able to have so much more confidence in your gameplay, when you have confidence in your teammates to follow you back up on every single one of the plays that you're insisting on making. And ScaryD just overall helping Luminosity secure that game number 1 and feeling pretty dominant of a force, making Luminosity look even more powerful when it came to game number 2. And again, you could see they had a little bit of a shaky start to begin things off, but that didn't really seem to matter in the long run, considering that they managed to find a way to come back into it with a very strong Gold Fury fight around the 14-minute mark. And this time around, we saw it coming on the back of BaRRaCCuDDa, who on this Medusa, something about Medusa this season with NA Hunters, where they've all just decided, I'm going to become the best Medusa in the world and hit multiple triple kills, multiple stuns in these team fights. But either way, BaRRa definitely showing why he's known as one of the best hunters, if not the best hunter in North America right now. He was definitely a force to be reckoned with, utilizing his ultimate in such a way that he was consistently catching SoaR off guard, which was devastating for their lineup, considering if you can't tell when a Medusa ult is coming through and your actives are down, you're not going to find yourself in a very ideal situation. And overall, that just led to Luminosity picking up a pretty clean victory in this second game, leading to them having the set win over SoaR Gaming, which is pretty unusual because I don't think many people were expecting SoaR to be having this many difficulties trying to find even one win, much less, 4 losses in only the second week. I think a lot of people were kind of expecting SoaR to be a more dominant team, considering that they have such mechanically sound players on their side, but it seems as though they haven't managed to find their stride just yet. But hopefully their team continues to develop, and hopefully they've managed to find their synergy. But on the side of Luminosity, we know that they have synergy, and we know that one of the most dominant players on that team lately is definitely finding his stride. ScaryD, how's it going?
Yo, what's up? How's it going?
How are you feeling after those Hercules games?
I'm feeling great.
You're feeling great. Anything that you want to talk about in particular as far as it comes to communications with your team? Because it seems like you always just knew exactly when to rotate over and find yourself in the back line.
We're super good friends on the team now. We're always hanging out with each other at a game and stuff, and we're really good friends and stuff. So we just know everything about each other kinda. It's really easy.
Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of trust factor coming out for your team whenever you guys are going into these team fights early on. So as far as yourself is concerned as a player overall, how do you feel that you've really progressed throughout your time with Luminosity?
When I first joined, I was a little shaky at first, and even at my first couple of lands I was super shaky, but came Worlds, I don't know what happened, but I kinda transformed, I guess, and I started popping off, and now I'm like this, I guess. I don't know.
Well, you are pretty ScaryD in that solo lane, to say the least. So, I mean, congratulations, man. Honestly, you had a really dominant performance. You were absolutely causing so much chaos for SoaR on that Hercules especially. And we hope to see you continue to develop and progress throughout this season. So is there any kind of particular shout-outs you want to go ahead and give?
Yeah, shout out to Luminosity. They're a great org. I'm happy to play with them. Shout out to my teammates, obviously. Shout out to our sub, Ghost and Allied, and our coach, Quintosh. And yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, ScaryD. And congratulations once again to Luminosity for finding their 3-point victory in their set win over SoaR Gaming. Now, that leaves us in a pretty interesting spot, ladies and gentlemen, because Luminosity, I believe, is actually top of the charts now after they found their victory. But let's go ahead and take a look at the standings that we have in North America. Team Eager and Luminosity are actually tied right now for that first place spot, which means that next week is going to be pretty exciting on the side of NA. You can see In Memory of Gabe trailing just behind, and the Silent Sleepers, Enemy and Noble Esports, definitely not teams to be left out in these mentions, because all of these teams realistically have a very solid chance of finding themselves progressing to these first through third place slots in the side of North America. And as the season develops, I think that we're only going to see more and more exciting action to come from these teams, considering how close and strong all of these teams are mechanically and just as a roster overall. But as you guys are aware, that will be the conclusion for the PC Smite SPL for this weekend. Hopefully you guys tune in tomorrow on hi-rez TV, where we'll actually be going into the Smite Console League. So you don't want to miss out on that in case you want more Smite action to come. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week as we continue with PC Smite as well here on hi-rez TV, and hope you guys have a very wonderful night.